Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Business Intelligence Dashboard Template webinar for InduSoft Web Studio version 7.1. My name is Fabio Teresino. I'll be the host for this webinar, and the agenda has pretty much three main topics. First, I'll provide an overview about the main features in this template. Then I will demonstrate the actual template, the actual BI application and the main features readily available in this application. And finally, I will open for Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them at the chat box from the WebEx webinar or even on the Q&A box from the WebEx webinar. You can access those shortcuts from the WebEx bar on the top of your monitor. So during the presentation, if you have any questions, or at the end of the presentation, if you have any further questions, feel free to write them there, and I'll be reading your questions and answering them after the main presentation. Having said that, let's start with the main features. So first of all, what is the BI Business Intelligence Dashboard Template application? The main goal of this application is to transform raw data into meaningful information in a very easy way. So all of us are flooded with lots and lots of data every day. With internet and different data sources, there are many ways to acquire information, and most of this data is saved in one or more databases throughout the organization. The real challenge in many cases is how to drive conclusions from that data, how to query from all those databases the information that is really important to you, and visualize this information in a way that you can really draw conclusions at a glance. So this template was built with this goal in mind, and I'm going to demonstrate some tools with a few clicks and without being an expert whatsoever in databases, without even knowing anything about SQL expressions. You can very easily link this template to an external database, SQL Server, Access, retrieve data from this database, and present the information on the screen in a graphical format with pie charts, Pareto graphs, tables, different formats, and then either print reports or visualize those templates, those dashboards, locally or from remote stations, even tablets or cell phones using thin client solutions from InduSoft. So the main characteristics of this application are, first of all, the ability to collect data directly from local or remote databases. As most of you know, InduSoft Web Studio has the ability to read data from PLCs, from different IOs. We support more than 240 different protocols in addition to the OPC protocols, and we can save this information to SQL relational databases. But regardless of who wrote the data into the database, whether it was in the InduSoft Web Studio or any other system, with this template we have the ability to retrieve the data from the database and then present the dashboards on the screen. So it is an independent application that can be applied for industrial automation or even other kind of applications. Any applications where you need to retrieve data from databases and present dashboards to the users. The second one is wizards built in the application to link the application to databases, to customize the queries from the databases, and to customize the dashboards, to create the dashboards. But everything with a very simple graphical interface without requiring you to write scripts or write queries. You just follow wizards, pretty much just use the mouse or the touch screen and create the queries, create the dashboards in a very easy way. So that's the main advantage of this template. It saves you a lot of time to deploy and use a business intelligence dashboard application. If you are an advanced user, we have in the application ways for you to customize queries, write the queries directly, but you don't have to do that. Even if you do not know SQL, there are many wizards, many ways for you to build your dashboards just by clicking and dragging and selecting different tables and different columns from the database. We have a built-in security system in InduSoft Web Studio, and we leveraged this security system to the application. So there are pretty much two main levels, administrator and user. The administrator has full rights, can connect to databases, can create queries, can build dashboards, can create new users, and users with the user level can visualize dashboards assigned to them. So you can, using this application, you as the administrator or the supervisor can define the dashboards that should be available to each users, each operators, and they can visualize their own dashboards at any time from the local computer where InduSoft is running, or from remote thin clients, a remote computer with a web browser, or even a tablet or cell phone using the InduSoft Secure Viewer through a connection to the server. So this is the next main characteristic, the ability to visualize the information not only locally in the computer where InduSoft Web Studio is running, but also from remote devices using the built-in thin client solutions from InduSoft Web Studio. And finally, the ability to save your dashboards, your templates, your dashboards into reports like PDFs, or save them directly to the printer. So within the application, you have a built-in tool where you can customize your report the way how your report should look like, and then either dump this information to a PDF file or send it directly to the printer. So with all those characteristics, the bottom line is you can maximize your profits with an affordable solution that provides a high return on investment in a low total cost ownership. So the whole idea is in a matter of minutes you can deploy, customize, and have your dashboards up and running, and then you can analyze the information provided by the dashboards to optimize your process, whatever it is, whether in industrial automation or in any other segment. So when you purchase this add-on for InduSoft Web Studio, what you really receive is the dashboard template application. It is an application created with InduSoft Web Studio, password protected, and with all the tools, all the scripts, all the interfaces you need. So you do not have to touch the application to use it in standalone mode, and we'll talk about this in 1 minute. In addition to that, you receive two manuals, an engineering guide and a user guide. The engineering guide explains how you can even customize this template, merge it to your application. It provides some information about how the application was built. And the user guide describes how you can use the standard dashboard template during the runtime. How to link the application to databases during the runtime, how to create dashboards, configure the security system, everything that the end user needs to know to use the application, to operate the application during the runtime. And there is a license as well associated with the package. So when you, in order to run the application, you just need a regular InduSoft Web Studio license for 1500 tags or more. Could be a runtime only license. You do not need a development license for InduSoft unless you want to customize the template on the development level. But otherwise you just need a runtime license for InduSoft Web Studio with 1500 tags and one additional application license to enable this template, which is independent from the InduSoft license. So the way it works, and I'll demonstrate within the application, It shows you a site code for the application, which is unique for this application on each computer you deploy it. You send it to InduSoft, and InduSoft will provide you with a site key to enable the application. So the license has actually two steps. First, you license InduSoft Web Studio using a regular license for InduSoft, and then you license the BI Dashboards template application using another site code. And once both parts are licensed, both InduSoft Web Studio and the application, you can use it and create as many dashboards as you want, connecting to different databases. There are two main use cases for this application. One is what we call standalone, which means the application itself, the business intelligence dashboard application, is executed as it is, and you do not have to modify the source code of the application whatsoever. So this is a self-contained application. It provides all the tools you need to show dashboards, and it can work as it is. And you can just deploy this application as it is, open with InduSoft Web Studio just like a regular application, license it, and run it. Or you can also merge this application into your own project. So you might have your own project where you have the operational screens, trending screens, alarm screens, whatever you have there, and you'd like to merge this BI dashboard template as one additional set of screens for your application. So it is possible to do that using the built-in import wizard from InduSoft Web Studio. There are some specific steps you have to follow, but the manual, the engineering manual for the application, describes in details everything you have to do to merge this application into your own application, even if they have different resolutions. The BI dashboard template application by default was designed with the resolution 1280 by 720, but when you merge it into your application, you can convert the resolution to make sure that all the screens are consistent and match the same resolution. So having said that, let's start the demonstration of the actual template. So here is the regular InduSoft Web Studio, in this case InduSoft Web Studio 7.1, but this application is compatible with 7.0, Service Pack 6 or newer. And as you see, this is a regular application created with InduSoft Web Studio. So when you purchase the template, you can just copy the application folder to your computer, run InduSoft Web Studio, and go to Open Project to open the dashboards template with InduSoft Web Studio. And then when you run it, it shows this startup screen by default. In this case, my system is running because I do have a license here. But if you do not have a license, which is going to be the default state the first time you run the application, all you have to do is come here to license. It will show the message license not found. Then you can go to change license, and it shows here the different network adapters in your computer. Select one that will be always available in this computer. So if you have removable one, do not select them. Select the one that should be always available in your computer. Copy this site code and send it to InduSoft along with the NS number and PO number for the Business Intelligence Dashboard template. InduSoft will generate a site key, send it back to you. You just paste it here in this field and hit the Authorize button. And then the license will be installed for your Business Intelligence Dashboard template. Even if you have many thin clients, web thin clients, you just have to install the product license and the application license on the server. After the server is licensed, the web thin clients, the secure viewer thin clients can connect to the application without having to install the license again on each one of the thin clients. Obviously, the license for InduSoft Web Studio needs to support the maximum number of thin clients that you intend to connect to the application simultaneously. So right now this application is licensed, and the first time you run this application, you should click on this link here to install the chart controls. We designed some special chart controls for this application, like pie chart, Pareto graph, bar graph. And in order to install those components, all you have to do is click on this link the first time you run the application, and after that those controls will be installed on your system. After licensing the application and installing the controls, you are ready to start building your dashboards. So by default, when the application runs, it runs as the guest user. So you see here the guest user. It shows also the IP address of your computer, the name of your computer, and here the language in which you visualize your application. So by default, we make this application available in those 5 languages. So English, Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Portuguese, and Spanish. So just by clicking here on the server or on each thin client, you can switch the language to each one of those 8 languages. And since it's just a regular InduSoft application, you can use the translation tool from InduSoft to even add additional languages to this template. So we are logged as guest. By default, I have two users on this application, admin and guest, with blank passwords for each one of them. So if you log on as admin, this button changes the label to configure users, and now you have a control panel where you can change passwords, and I strongly recommend changing the password for the administrator, so you can have so only you can log on as admin, and create new users. For instance, I can create here the user Fabio and say that Fabio is a user with the password, let's say 123 123. Okay, I just created the user Fabio here in my application. So as long as you are an administrator, you can create new users, and if I log on, click here on the current username, and I log on as a different user, now I can switch to different users, but I cannot create or manage the users anymore. I have to log on as admin in order to be able to click here in configure users and manage the users. By the way, this is a standard interface that you can also use in different projects. It's a standard interface control panel where you can manage the users for the application during the runtime. Create users, remove users, block users, or change the password for any one of the users available in the security system for the application. Very well. So now that I configured my security system, it's time to start creating the dashboards. So in order to create the dashboards, I actually follow 3 simple steps. Link the application to a database, which is called create a data source. Create queries, retrieving is the specific data I need from this database, which are the queries. And the last one is create the actual graphical dashboards, defining which kind of charts, how you want to present the data from the queries. So here in this drop down, it shows the tree view, and the first level is what we call the BI dashboard project name. I can click here in new and create a new project. So let's call this webinar morning, for example. Is a brand new project, and I have here the levels data sources, which is the link with the databases, and dashboards, which are the actual graphical dashboards. Very simple. So let's create a new data source. I just click here in new. I give a name to this data source. So let's say here demo database is just a label, and this version supports retrieving information from Microsoft Access MDB files or from the standard Microsoft SQL Server database as well. We support other databases like Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, and so on, but the product, this application so far has been QA'd with those two, so those are the two default options you have here. So let's start with a simple MDB file. I can browse here the MDB files in my computer. Let's grab, for instance, this DemoDB database. Test the connection, succeeded. So okay, now under data sources, I have a data source called Demo Database. If I want, I can link InduSoft to other databases. So I can come here to New and say, now I want to link to SQL Server. So the name of this data source is going to be my Microsoft SQL database. This is just a label, just an alias for you. So now I want to connect to a SQL Server database. Just click here, type here the name of the server where the database is. In this case is a local one, but could be a remote one. And here it shows the databases on that server. In this case I'm going to select one database I had previously created with the name BI, just for tests. Connection succeeded. Okay. Now I have this other data source. So in this example I have two data sources, one called Demo Database, another one called MySQL SQLDB. Each one of them connected to a different database. If I click here on the status bar on the database connection, it shows that I have two connections okay, and I have two empty spots. I can connect to up to 4 different databases simultaneously with the standard template. So now that I have a connection with this database, which is the first step, the second step is to create the queries, to create the interface where I define which information I want to read from the database. So in order to do that, I just select the data source, the database I want to retrieve data from, and click in New. If you are an advanced user, you can go to SQL Query and write the queries, customize the queries to retrieve data from the database in any way you want it. But we also created this option here, Design Query, which allows you to retrieve data from the database without knowing SQL per se. So you just create here an alias, a name for the query. So let's call this query here sample data, for example. The data source here is the demo database, and it shows here automatically the tables you have in this database. If you are not sure which table you should use, you can also show the columns, and it shows the columns you have in each one of those tables. So by the column names you might know which table you want to retrieve data from. So let's say that you reached the conclusion you want to retrieve data from this table, table 1. So just click once on it and click on this button to select this table to your project. So now that I have the table here, by default we query all data from this table. So if I go to preview, I show here all data from this table. If you want to customize this query, like, oh, I just want specific columns, you can come here to columns and say, I just want to bring the TS column from this table. Preview, now I just bring the TS column. If you want additional columns, you can keep adding here. I want the name column as well. So now if I preview, I just bring the TS and name columns. You can filter the data. You can say, I want to retrieve data only where the column ID is lower than a number, or when the TS is different from a different particular date. So you can filter the data just by using this wizard here. You can also group the data and you can sort the data, just like in the other dialogues, just by following the wizards and saying I want to group by ID, I want to sort by timestamp, whatever you want, ascending, descending. So just by clicking on those dialogues, you can customize your query. So again, if I remove those columns here, we by default retrieve everything from the column, from the table. So here you see all data from the table. Let's keep this SQL statement for now. So I have here sample data. Now let's create queries for my second database, for the MySQL database. So I just select my data source and say new query. Using design query, let's give the label here sales data. So I have the column, the table here, sales region, where I have the columns region, product, and sales. I can add this table to my project, and when I preview, I have here all the data from this table, different regions, different products, different sales dollars. And let's save it with all this data. I can create additional queries to the same database. So let's create a new query for this one, saying I want to retrieve data from the same table, but now I want sales by region, for example. So here in column, I want to add region, and I want to add the sales by region. So I want to sum all the sales for a given region with the alias, let's say, total sales. Okay, so, and I want to group by region. So here is the SQL statement for you, but you don't have to know how to build it. You just say, I want to see region and the sum of sales grouped by region. Preview, and I have here the information. So this query here shows the sales by region, and I can create new ones, like for instance, maybe I want to have a sales by product type. So I add this table, add the columns product now, and sales as well. And for sales, I want to sum. As you see here, you have different options, average, mean, max. In this case, I just want to add them with the label total sales. But now I want to group by product. So if I preview, now I have the different products and the total sales per product. Very well. So I have two data sources, demo database and MySQL database. I have one query for this database and 3 queries for the second one. So good enough. Now let's go to the third and last step, which is create the dashboards. So I create here in dashboards and say I want to create a new dashboard. So I give an alias to this dashboard, like production data, for example. I can define if this dashboard will be available to everybody or only to the user that is creating the dashboard. So let's say it will be available to everybody. And as you see here, there are many different types of templates, dashboards that you can create. You can just click in one of them and say OK. So this is the layout for my dashboard. In this particular one, I have 3 areas. You can just click on each one of the areas to define the chart that you want to apply to each one of those areas. So this one, for example, could have the name Pi. This is just an alias. You select one of the queries here to show the data on the screen. So I want to display data from the demo database query, and I want to show as a pie chart using the column name as the label and the column values for the actual values. Those are the columns from the table from the database. And here the skin is pretty much the color definition for the object. I can see colored with white background. Say OK, and here you have your pie chart, and if I move the mouse here, I see the values from the column label, which is the month, and the actual values of the column value, which is a number there, let's say with the number of products produced on each one of those months. I can select this one, give another name, let's say Pareto, for example, and select where I want to retrieve data from. Could be from a different data source, could be from the same one. Let's use the same one. And let's say I want to use the column name as the label, value for the values, and I want it to be 3D in yellow. So it automatically shows the data from that table as a Pareto chart. And if I click here, I can give another name. So let's call this table. Retrieve data from any query that I had previously created and say show as a table. Here you have all the data. So you can analyze the data here as a table, as a pie chart, as a Pareto chart, and so on and so forth. This is one dashboard, the dashboard I called Pareto data, but you can create additional ones, and you can even modify a dashboard after you created it. For example, let's say that here for this Pareto, I do not want a Pareto anymore. So I can edit, change the name, change the query, change the type. For instance, I can say I want a bar chart now. So say OK. Now I have a bar chart, not a Pareto. So you can customize, modify those dashboards in any fashion at any time as you want. If I want to create a new dashboard, I just click here in Dashboards, click New, define the layout for this new dashboard. So let's do something a little bit different from this one. Let's create this template here. And just like the other one, you just click on each area and define what you want. So let's say here, let's write sales as the label. Grab data here from the query sales data and show as a table. So here you have all the values for all the sales in all regions for all products. Here, let's say I want sales by region. This is the label for this object here. And I want to show, let's say, as a Pareto chart. Retrieve data here from this query, sales by region. And I want to display as a Pareto, where the label is the region and the value comes from total sales. And I want to show as a red chart. And in this one, let's say I want sales by product. I get the information from this query, sales by product. And I want to show a Pareto using total sales for values in the product column as the label. And this one I want to be green, for example. Now I have here my sales by product. If I just click here, you see I have the product C is the one that was sold the most, product D after that, product B, and so on and so forth. And if I see sales by region, I see that most sales were done on South, and then West Coast, Center, East Coast, and North. So you can very easily create your dashboards. And here on the tree view, I can pin this tree view and click on each one of the dashboards. Like this one is called Dashboard 1, this production data. So just click on the dashboards back and forth to display information from each one of those dashboards individually. And I can also move this tree view to the right or to the left as I wish. So I have all the data here on each one of those dashboards. Can move it out. Now, if I want to send any one of those dashboards to the report, to a report, all I have to do is click here in Report, select how many charts I want per page. Let's say I want 2, and click here Generate Report. You can preview the report before sending it to the printer or dumping to a dump file, and then we can either click Save to save this report as a file, or print to send this report directly to the printer. And you can even have different orientations like landscape. So as you see here, the orientation now is different. And you can also repeat the header on each page. Generate. So now you have the header repeated on each one of the pages. And this logo is just one JPEG file on the applications directory, so you can very easily customize the logo as well. Finally, if you want to visualize this information on the browser, all you have to do is configure a web server, a regular web server for pointing to the directory of the application, and open, for instance, Internet Explorer or a secure viewer thin client for InduSoft. It's going to connect to the application. You type a valid username and password. And after typing a valid username and password, you have access to the application, to the dashboard on your web browser. So you see here the dashboards, dashboard 1 and production data. I can click on them, and InduSoft displays the dashboards, displays the data on the web browser. So everything you do on the runtime server application, you can do as well on the web browser, or even in a remote secure viewer thin client, for instance, hosted by a tablet or even a cell phone. So those are the main options, the main features on this application. Again, the main goal was to create a very easy interface for you to retrieve data from databases and display this information in a meaningful way, using different types of charts and customize your dashboards in a very, very short period of time. So now I'm going to open for questions, and like I mentioned before, if you have any questions, feel free to write them on the WebEx chat box, either on the Q&A box or chat box from the WebEx bar on the upper corner of your monitor. One question here is, I'd like to ask about the license policy. Can we simply sum 1500 tags plus 1500 tags if I need 3000 points? Regardless of the BI dashboards templates, you need a license for InduSoft Web Studio. And InduSoft Web Studio has different license levels for 150 tags, 300 tags, 1500 tags, 4000 tags, 16,000 tags, 32,000, 64,000, 512,000, and 10 million, which is virtually unlimited. So this application, as it is, uses 750 tags. So in order to run this application as it is, you need a license for InduSoft Web Studio for 1500 tags, nothing else. If you want to merge this application into your own application, then you can do that. You can merge this application into your own application, and as long as the total number of tags from this application and your custom project does not exceed 1500 tags, you can keep using a single license for 1500 tags. If it exceeds 1500 tags, then all you have to do is to upgrade your license to the next level, or to whatever level supports the total number of tags that you have in your application, combining the tags from this application with the tags for your custom project. So for your particular question, if you have two projects and each one of them uses 1500 tags, you just need one single license for 4000 tags. So other questions here. One question is, if can dynamic date ranges be defined in the query? Yes, when you create the queries, you here in the queries wizard. Whether you use this wizard here or if you create queries using what we call SQL query, where you can write here your queries any way you want, you can define pretty much any SQL query supported by the database. So you can use database variables like, for instance, date, today, yesterday. There are for SQL Server, for different databases, there are functions specifics from the database to retrieve data. So if you do something like where timestamp equals today, for instance, for SQL Server, it will always display data for today, whatever it is. If you want to link to InduSoft tags, it would be possible as well, but you would need to change some interfaces on the template, on the application level, on the development level. So it would be beyond the characteristics of the standard BI dashboard template. But if you have specific needs like that, we can discuss on cases by you. Because again, at the end of the day, all it is an application created within the InduSoft Web Studio. But it is an application where we invested the time to create the interfaces and the wizards, so you can have the final result, you can have the dashboard in a matter of minutes without having to go through all the configuration, all the database development that we have done with this template. So another question here. Can you center the data table within the object? When you create the dashboards, you can choose different templates here, and for instance on this one everything would be centralized. When you have in this template I decided to have the table aligned to the left and the other charts aligned to the right. But when you build your dashboards, you can define different layouts, different frames, and different alignments as well. One question is if you can customize the look of the dashboards or you are limited to the options in the templates. There are many different ways you can customize the look of the dashboards. One would be the frames that you have here. So again, when you create the dashboards, you have many different frames, and you can choose any one of those. And after you selected one frame, you can customize the look and feel for each one of those objects, whether it is 3D or not, the foreground color and the background color. For instance, for this one, I can say I want it to be yellow with a background color. And boom, it changes the look and feel of this control. So you can customize the look and feel of the dashboards and choose any one of the templates frames available here when you create a new dashboard. So other questions here. If it is possible to align the table within the frame. Within the frame, the tables are always left aligned. So you can have values here, and there are some options for you to have the table, for instance, to the right, or create a dashboard only with the table on the center. But the columns for the table are always aligned to the left. It's likely, and we have in our roadmap for the application to improve and create new options for this application, but at least in this first version we decided to even avoid some additional options to make it as simple as possible. So in the future we intend to enhance this template and offer new options with the template, but we'll always keep in mind that it has to remain very, very simple, because that's the main value, very easy to use, because that's the main value that we offer here. And again, if you contact InduSoft, and we can work with you to open the development of those screens for you, and then you can customize and align even the tables, the columns, and whatever it is in different ways. So additional columns here. Can you import this application into an existing application without interfering with the existing application? Yes, you can, as long as you follow the, it's a good question. It was designed and extensively tested on this case scenario where you merge this application into your own application. But if there are conflicts, like screens with the same name or functions with the same name, they will be reported, and you have to manage them. So either rename screens or rename functions, or even rename tags. It's unlikely that the tag names will match because we took the precaution to use tag names that are very unique to this application. But the manual that we ship along with this template for the engineers shows in details all type of conflicts that you might face and how to resolve them. So the short answer is yes, you can import this application into your project without affecting your project. And in your project, you just create a button to open this screen. But on the importing process, if conflicts are found, you have some options to manage them, to deal with them. Another question here is how this business intelligence dashboard will be licensed. From the procedure point of view, the licensing process has two steps. First, you install and license InduSoft Web Studio just like you do for any application. So you need a 1500 tags license, runtime license for InduSoft Web Studio in order to run this dashboards template. Then the second step is to license the application itself. So you would come here to license, change license, copy this site code from here, send it to InduSoft. InduSoft will send a site key to you. You will paste it here and hit authorize. And then the business intelligence dashboard template will be licensed for your computer. And then you are done. From the commercial point of view, there is the cost for the InduSoft 1500 tags runtime license, which is quite affordable. And there is the additional cost for this add-on, for the business intelligence dashboard template, which is also quite affordable. It will be released in the InduSoft price list next month. And since it's an add-on for the 1500 tags license, it's going to be a percentage, it's going to be a subset of the price for the InduSoft Web Studio 1500 tags license. So another question is about the pricing being released. It will be released the first week of the next month, so within 2 or 3 weeks. Another question, how about working with real-time data from historian DBs, presenting KPIs with some refresh rate? InduSoft you can customize your queries. Like I mentioned before, this first version was QA'd with MDB files and Microsoft SQL Server. But when you create here the links to the databases, if I create a new data source, you can come here and browse for providers to different databases, like for instance to your historians. And then you can go there and retrieve data from the tables in your historian, as long as it supports standard ways for connectivity like ODBC drivers, OLEDB providers, ADO or ADO.NET providers. And most historians, if not all major ones, support at least one of those connections. And then you can create your dashboards, retrieving data from those historians. And by application using InduSoft Web Studio, you can simply write on the schedule, configure InduSoft to open this screen or different dashboard screens, let's say every 5 seconds, 1 minute, at whatever rate you want to refresh the screens. Some questions about having the recorded webinar. Yes, all the InduSoft webinars are recorded, including this one. And in a few days, we'll post in our website this webinar so you can review it and listen to the webinar, watch it at your own convenience. Also, everybody that attended this webinar live will receive automatically a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, the preview for the Business Intelligence Dashboard template, and the link to visualize the video on the internet as soon as it is available. Okay, let's see if any additional questions. Some compliments here. Thank you. So with that, I would like to finish the Q&A section, provide some information to contact InduSoft. If you have further information about this product, feel free to contact us. It will be officially available to the market next month on September 2012. And I would like to thank each and everyone for attending this webinar, for your questions, for your compliments. And I hope to see you again in the next InduSoft webinar within 2 weeks. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.